Hi folks, and welcome to the week 2 focus video for MH510 in the spring of 2024. This week we're going to be talking about popular and academic history, ethics in history, and your final paper topic options. On the cover sheet of this week's slide packet is a picture of Sir Michael Howard, who in my mind represents academic historians, was also one of my dissertation advisors, and David McCullough, who is one of the better popular historians, passed away recently, in modern American history. So the two poles, academic history, Michael Howard, popular history, David McCullough. Okay, quick update from the compound. The weather here has been pretty nice. We've got a nice rainy period coming up for 3 or 4 days, which is really great because we got the grub killer down to get rid of the molds in the yard. We got fertilizer down. We've got more raspberry bushes and rhubarb planted, so the rain's good for that. And just a good time all around. My wife is putting together some furniture for her bathroom dressing area, and I'm teaching a concealed carry class this weekend, so it's going to be a rather busy weekend around here, even though we're staying in town. All right, so there's the update from the compound. All is well, and some reminders for you as we go forward. Be sure you follow the instructor office. Read and watch the numbered postings if you haven't already, and acknowledge those. Remember, I post these weekly focus updates that will hone down and get to the essentials of what we want you to look for in the discussion questions and specific instructions on the assignments, which I put some more fences around those in order to get you focused in on that. Subscribe to the instructor office to ensure you get all my updates and reminders, as well as my pearls of wisdom from around the web. No attachments in the discussion list, please, and no imagery in the primary posts. Use the advanced feature when posting your primary discussion posts or any other time you highlight, copy, and paste a Word document into Moodle. Your footnotes will become endnotes, but I'm okay with that. Few more reminders. Footnote according to the Chicago Manual of Style, 17th edition, Chapter 14, Notes and Bibliography Style. Your primary posts are to be your synthesis of the reading in response to the discussion prompt. A synthesis implies at least 2 or more sources. A synthesis is more than using a single source. Your first primary is due on Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. and the second is due preferably on Thursday, but not later than Friday at 11:59 p.m. This first week, remember, I'm not real hot on making sure you're posting on time. Beginning in week 2, I tighten it up. By week 3, you ought to be hitting those markers. Your thesis statement, a 1 or 2 sentence answer to the discussion prompt, needs to be upfront and followed through the essay as you expand, explain, and defend your thesis. Be sure to spell check and grammar check. Use Grammarly, but do not let it use you. All right, into the questions. This week's readings and discussion focus first on the differences between popular and academic history, and second on scholarly ethics, with an interesting case study that doesn't examine the typical issue of plagiarism. First question, how does scholarly academic history differ from popular history? How do academic historians differ from popular historians in how they approach the craft? Academic, and that's your first question, and I'll expand on that here in a bit. Academic integrity and ethics continues to be an issue with both students, perhaps to be expected of those who are just learning the craft, but more troublingly with members of the profession itself. Whether we're speaking of the Holocaust denial movement, issues of plagiarism, or the deceptive use of sources and outright fabrication of the Belle Isle incident, these cases periodically but seemingly inevitably besmirch the profession. Using the case of Michael Belle Isle and Arming America, examine the evidence in the readings, especially the report of the investigative committee. What standards of the profession did Belle Isle not uphold? Why did most of the profession rally around him? And what does this case tell us about the value of intellectual diversity within the profession? Some warnings about this week's readings. You have to tease the information for DQ1 out of the readings. If it's not there in the open, look for subtle clues and nuance. Think about how scholarly historians write differently than do popular historians. How do the types of evidence differ? How the citation of evidence differ? How the goals of the authors differ, and how the intended audiences differ. You may find some very negative opinion of popular history. This is partially professional jealousy, but also tied up with the misuse of history for propaganda or political ends, a charge which is sometimes also leveled against some academic historians, as we shall see as we move through the course and this week's second question. Popular historians can be excellent historians. They just write differently and with a different purpose. Think of Barbara Tuchman, David McCullough, Cornelius Ryan, John Toland, and I would add Tom Holland as well as Rick Atkinson. British history and history books can be a bit more interesting to sort out. Many scholarly British historians, especially in the field of military history, write what might be considered popular history in the US. So we need to consider them as exceptions when we try to sort out the differences. Feel free to dig out some other sources for both DQ1 and DQ2. There's a lot on DQ2. The usual requirements for scholarly sources is not hard and fast this week, but do not overpower the required readings with outside sources. Be sure to do a search for Clayton E. Kramer and see several of his responses that I list below. Confiscating Guns from America's Past, and Why Footnotes Matter, Checking Arming America's Claims. Paper topic selection. This discussion focuses, this is a third discussion question for the week. It's in a separate area and graded separately. This discussion focuses on your historiographic essay paper topic. There is no approved format for this, so be creative. Please provide 3 possible topics that you could use for your historiographic essay due in week 10. You can scroll down in the course list and find week 10 and read the specifics of the requirements for the week 10 historiographic essay. For each topic, include what you would like to study. Describe briefly the topic and why you're interested in the topic. Several of the important scholars that have contributed to our understanding of that topic. A research strategy that you will employ to further define your scope, especially the range of historians and their work that you must consider. Are you using recent, say since 1990, sources to examine the present state of the debate, or are you looking deeper into the past, say the early 1900s or even the late 1800s, to trace the chronological development of the historiography? List 3 potential scholarly sources to support your essay. For this discussion, you must post your initial posting with your topic selection no later than Wednesday at 11:55 p.m. of week 2. By Saturday, 11:55 p.m. local time, you must respond to at least one post by a classmate to offer your thoughts on his or her proposed topics. Remember, nothing later than about 1990, 1993, 1994 is acceptable as a topic. 30 years back, why do I put that in there? Because the primary sources that historians rely on to do analytical history are simply not available. Even with unclassified material, it takes 5 to 10 years to get stuff into the archives. For anything that carries any kind of classification, and America is insane about classification. They classify stuff that, like, shouldn't be bothered to be classified. So that's a key piece. The other thing is, if it happened last year, there's probably not a lot of scholarly historians that have written about it yet. So, if you want to write about your experiences in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, probably not a good thing to do. While I want you to explore the why, how question idea for how to write academic analytical papers, why and how are the 2 questions we ask. For this term, the topic itself is more important. An example of a good how question for this term would be, how do historians view Lee's generalship during the campaign of Chancellorsville? Operational history itself, especially from the Second World War on, is difficult because scholarly journal articles might be difficult to find. Remember, you are not arguing any particular point here. Rather, you are laying out and arguing about the previous scholarly secondary literature. There's also one additional thing to do this week, and that's the Chicago Manual of Style quiz. It is open now. It is aligned with the 17th edition of the Chicago Manual of Style. The answers are all in the 14th chapter of the Chicago Manual of Style. Please note, the 17th edition does not prefer Ibid, though the quiz does, because I wrote the quiz and I like Ibid. It's also time to start thinking about your elective choices. I'll get with you during week 3 and week 4 to talk about this. It's time, call me or I'll call you, one of the two, during weeks 3 and 4 to talk about your choices. Think about what your goals are, what I want to do with my MA, and then what your interests are. If you're in American history, choose 2 from HI 520, 530, and 540 in sequence. 520, 530, 530, 540. Then choose a course from any other program that complements your area of interest. If you're in world history, choose 2 from HI 526, HI 536, and HI 546 in sequence. Again, HI 526 and 536, or 536 and 546. They don't necessarily have to be taken in order, but you have to take those 2. Then choose a course from any other program that complements your area of interest. If you're in military history, choose any 2 military history courses, then choose a course from any other program that complements your area of interest. If you're in con history, choose a course from another program that complements your area of interest. Call me during weeks 3 or 4 and we'll talk about this and I can provide my best academic advice. With that, y'all take care, stay safe, and I'll see you around the campus. Bye-bye.